Hello and welcome to everyone shuffling into KI Concerts webinar. Is a festival tour the best option for my ensemble? We're going to give everyone another minute to start the presentation and trickle in, but we will start very soon. Okay, and with that, we are ready to kick off formal programming. So I'd like to kick it over to KI Concert's very own Oliver Scofield.
Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. These are important questions we're tackling today, and I know a lot of ensembles really do think through, is a festival what I want to do? Is a custom tour what I want to do? Is this year different to the last time I toured? Is it the destination? Is it the festival leader? So let's tease all of that out today. KI Concerts, I think most of you know us, a full-service tour company. All we do is music tours and all we do is international. That makes us a little bit different from some of our friendly competitors. And we love our festivals. They are very different experiences to all our custom tours, but we bring the same passion and verve and excitement into both of those channels that you can tour with us on. We have, in 2027, we have 5 festivals. I'll leave the first one to last for obvious reasons. In Ireland, Dr. Palki. In France, Drs. Armstrong and Boyd. In Spain, Dr. Catherine Saylor and Kevin Padworski. And in Australia, Pearl Shangren and Dan Forrest. So a spread of countries, a spread of talent, a spread of theming and repertoire and of challenge sort of levels. So I'll just come back to the first one that I didn't mention, of course, which is Austria Choral Festival with Jake Runestad. And we are so thrilled to have Jake with us here today. We have 2 panelists, Jake and Dr. Terese Gemme, and they will appear on your screen like that. Look at that. Jake is a great friend of KI's. He has a lot of other friends and he's won Emmys and he's incredibly talented and everybody knows who he is and what he brings to this sort of a process. Dr. Terese Gemme has toured with KI, we think, a decade and a half. We think we were both young and innocent when we started. But the real joy, the reason to have Terese with us today is that she has done both custom tours and festival tours. And she chops and changes along the, where she decides one year that that's what is right for her ensemble and one year it isn't. So I think her perspective is going to be really, really valuable for us today. I'm Oliver Scofield, been around KI for quite a while, apparently planning exceptional tours for 30 years and making some really good friends along the way. Some of them are here today, look at that. You can see I'm a lot more respectful of the clients than I am of festival leaders.
You're a lot taller than I remember, Oliver.
You got in first. So, folks, let's get into the meat of it. Let's tease out what it is about festivals that attract our ensembles, and what is the contrast? What would be different about a custom tour? And maybe, Dr. Gemme, if you're happy to lead us off with your thinking year to year about what you might what would be most ideal for your participation.
Sure, I'd be happy to. We love both the festivals and the custom tours. We started out with festivals. In 2019, when we sang with Simon Carrington in Ireland on the 250th anniversary of Handel's death, which was quite a remarkable experience. It was our first trip abroad with this choir. We had a very small group, I think 18 students at the time that came with us. And we obviously never could have performed the Messiah by ourselves at that point in our development as a choir. But joined with the other choirs, I think there were 3 other choirs at that event, we were able to actually sing the Messiah with orchestra in England in a space that was acoustically so magnificent that it changed these young lives, literally. And later on, I'll tell you a little story about that and about this particular trip. So the impetus for us for this festival was we knew we wanted to begin touring. We had the small contingent that went. We were very fortunate to get funding, and we've had a sponsor for all of our trips, which I know is unusual, but was extremely helpful for our kids who are mostly middle class, a lot of first-gen college students, a lot of kids who are working their way through college. So it was really important. And again, I know I'll use the word life-changing a lot through this dialogue, but I can't emphasize how much these festivals were life-changing, both for our students and for our ensemble and for the university. So we did this little trip with our 18 students. And 2 years later, we were invited again to sing with Simon Carrington in London, which was the beginning of the Diamond Jubilee year for Queen Elizabeth, and also the beginning of the London Olympics year, which was like huge draw. So this time, because of the success of this first festival that we had, we brought over 40 singers and chaperones. So monumental growth. And again, to sing all of the coronation anthems, something I'd never envisioned this little choir would be able to do so quickly. And so I think just taking even those just two examples to begin with, we've actually done 4 festivals and 3 custom choir tours, and currently planning our 8th, 7th, 8th, I think.
Yeah.
The 8th, but just really remarkable what happens at the festival events, particularly I think for smaller choirs, for less experienced choirs. And I say that from my perspective, but what held the festival together were some of the more advanced choirs who had been doing this for a while. And what our students learned from these other choirs was remarkable. Not to mention Simon Carrington was a little bit strict too, which was good, really good for them. So
Right.
they came away from that thinking, oh my gosh, we are singers that can sing in places like this with choirs like this and do this repertoire. And so that's how we started with the festivals. And it was, as I said, just an amazing experience for us.
Fantastic. That's a really great starting point. And maybe throwing to you, Jake, and I know you work in festival settings and you work with honor choirs and you work in a number of different ways like that. Are you able to give us a sense of, from your perspective, what it is that you can offer choirs in this sort of more festival setting than they may get just on a custom tour?
Yeah, well, great to have you all with us. I'm really excited about this festival in Austria. I've done festivals in Dublin. I worked with KI for the first time in Sydney, Australia, with a performance at the Sydney Opera House, which was very, very cool. And I love doing these kinds of festival situations. You know, I do all-state choirs, I do honor choirs, and work with groups of all different kinds. And I think what's so special about it, one, is the travel component, of course, to experience a new place, to meet new people, to engage in the culture, the food, the places. All of that is so thrilling. But I think also, you know, when we work together as choirs in our own communities, it's super, super special. But then when we are able to come together with other people and make music with them, we learn so much about ourselves. We learn about others. We learn to listen. We learn to connect with people that are maybe from a completely different place than us. And it really fosters compassion. It helps us to become better humans, better people. And so I just love this idea of these festivals and just bringing people of different ages, different ability levels, different places together to make music. And it's always a really special experience.
You both brought up some really good sort of points. The nature of the venue that they're able to experience in a festival setting. Obviously, if there's 100, 150 singers or more, then the capacity to stage you. And I know Terese mentioned orchestration, and sometimes, Jake, that's something that we do, be it a small, percussion or chamber or something larger. So, and I think the other thing, Jake, and it's a bit unique to your festival, or maybe Dan Forrest, and working with a composer. I know the excitement from our point of view, but maybe Terese or you, Jake, or both, on just what that special moment in trying to share your particular music with this group of people is.
Yeah, I think that, we as conductors are interpreters, but I think what I really love about being able to conduct my own music is that I know everything that went into it. And so it's really fun to be able to kind of uncover some of the Easter eggs or the secret things that I put into the pieces, and to help people really connect more deeply with what it is that we're singing. I have a cat on my lap, so if you see some furry stuff coming up, so like for example in Austria, there's so much history there with the great composers of Mozart and Beethoven and so many others. And I have a piece that some of you may know. It's called "A Silence Haunts Me," and it's an adaptation of a letter that Beethoven wrote to his brothers, admitting his deafness, talking about his struggle through that experience and how he decided to continue on because he had so much art left inside of him. And so to be able to share that kind of piece in that place is super special, and it weaves in Beethoven's music through the piece. And so that would be super special to share there. Also, I have another piece that's kind of imagining what was going through Mozart's mind when he wrote his Ave Verum Corpus, and kind of the way that he took this text that could be kind of gruesome and really made it beautiful in this idea of easing someone's pain. And so I think these kinds of little details are really exciting for me to share, and I think really help us to dig even more deeply and engage more deeply and express more deeply in all of these musical experiences.
Oh, beautifully said. Thank you. Terese, I saw you nodding. Is there any aspect of that caught your attention?
Yeah, I think again, getting the composer's perspective is so intriguing, both for the conductor and for the students. I remember working with Craig Heller Johnson, and we had done some of his music. We had done quite a bit of his music before, and there's kind of a magic for the students to get to know the real person who composed this music, which automatically sheds some light on it. And I think the other thing that's wonderful is to get the composer's interpretation, of course, of how they interpret this piece. But that in the same way for the students, and I think all the festivals are this way, is that teaching moment that there is no one correct performance of a piece, that it changes with every different group of singers. It changes in the space that you're in the time that you're in what you're bringing to it at that particular when you're studying a piece that time. So I think that's another really wonderful focus of the festivals.
Great. There was a couple of things you brought up between the two of you. One was the relationship between a festival leader and the director, and I want to tease out whether you feel that's an affirming kind of relationship. And it's something that Terese said early on. I really want to touch on. She brought 18 singers, I think, and then 40, and she felt tentative with that first, but it developed a pattern. But then she said there are also very strong choirs there, and of course the skill of someone of Jake's caliber, knowing where to put the voices so that no one's feeling they're in right next to the best singers, right next to the one who wants to be the best singer. But you guys, you do that. Can you speak to those varying levels and how everybody is welcome? And then I'll come back to the individual component that each choir can do afterwards. Who would like to go first?
Would you like to go, Terese?
Sure. Do you want me to go?
Yep.
I can talk just a little bit about it. Again, our experience with the festivals and our group, of course, has progressed musically through all of these opportunities, which is really amazing. And seeing them come into their own strength was wonderful. But I think our experience with the directors has been really, really positive. In terms of also, again, learning from these other groups, from the conductors, but also learning how to get along with other people, which I think is an important skill, and to take some of the competitiveness out of music that's sometimes there. That when you're singing in a group of 150 or 20, everyone is valuable, everyone is important. And everyone is equal in a sense. The sound that comes out is the amalgamation of everybody that's there. And I think that the festival leaders we've worked with have really emphasized that as well.
Right.
Yeah, I really, yeah, I love that in the festival situation, choirs of 5 people or 50 people or 150 people can participate. To me, that's super special. Because each of those choirs brings something special, brings something unique. And, maybe the choir of 5, they can't, like you had mentioned, can't perform Messiah on your own. but are so eager and so excited. And, when their voices are paired with everyone else, it's such a beautiful experience. And so I value each and every participant, each and every conductor. I think that for me, these kinds of situations, yes, we're together to make music, but for me, it's so much about we are building community, we are supporting each other, we're listening to each other, we are lifting each other up, we are engaging and sharing beauty and meaning with the world. And I will work us hard, but always making sure we're having a good time.
Mm.
I love that balance of making sure that I'm challenging the choir to do as well as they can, but never defeating them, never trying to make them feel bad, as I think maybe some conductors in the past have done. For me, it's all about lifting ourselves up and being the best that we can be, um, engaging in that community and sharing that beauty with the world.
Well, beautifully said, both of you. I know we've got questions that folk will want to ask, but I've got two threads I think I'll come back to, Robin, before I hand back a little bit to you. One is the individual concert opportunities. So for us, for all of us, the three of us, I know, the magic of the combined voice, you expressed it so well, Terese, but not to, for a moment, give up the chance to have an individual spotlight. So for those choirs who travel in a balanced way with strength and pride, who want to do this, they are so welcome to have individual concerts. Often for a tour, a choir doesn't want to bring an hour and 20 minutes worth of their own repertoire, because often the touring choir is not the entire choir, so there's subtlety about repertoire and rehearsal. But if we give them an opportunity to perform in the grand venue, and you would remember, Jake, at the Sydney Opera House, even the 80 Chinese kids who bowled in to talk about a range of voices and experiences, everybody got their chance to perform on that stage, and they will in Austria, and they did in London and Ireland. So they also then have a chance to have individual concerts beyond that main venue, so 2 days before, 2 days after. And that's very much us working with each director. Do you have 20 minutes of repertoire? Do you want something different? Do you want to work in an exchange setting with an Austrian choir 2 days after, just you and that choir, or have a workshop with a local? So I just want folk to know that there is the combined 3 days usually, and then we're able to customize beyond that. One last thing I promise, and then I'll shut up on the 20-minute mark, I promise. The cost, and you talked about, Terese, that first group, and you talked about sponsorship. And one of the things I love about your choir is that you bring opportunities to people who wouldn't otherwise have them. Festivals for us give an opportunity to take a bit of pressure off a director who's thinking about budgets and thinking about, boy, I need to get the best economy of scale. I need 40 to 45 to get that bus and tour manager mix. We can do that in festivals, as you said, with 18 people. So we 10 people plus, a director. And it's such a great developmental exercise. And post-COVID, when choirs were reconfiguring with many different sort of numbers, bad English. But so festivals really have that sort of capacity too, that we can bring folk in and not terrorize people with any worry about price changes if their numbers aren't sufficient. So I think, Robin, this would be a good chance to see what questions there might be out there in the audience land.
Absolutely. So I'm about to post in the thread, which will be on your right-hand side in the Q&A section. And if anyone in the audience has any questions, please start a discussion here. And we also have several questions from enthusiastic people who are not able to join us today. So we will be able to ask those as well. But I'm going to give everyone a second to put in their questions. On your right-hand side.
If you don't, I could talk for the next 10 minutes. So here's your challenge, quick.
But I do have I have one of these from our customers who are unable to join us this evening. Some of the people from our community, but they submitted these questions beforehand. So this one is actually for Dr. Gemme. It is, if you could go back and give yourself advice before taking your choir to one of your first KI concerts, choral festivals, what is the advice that you would give yourself?
Wow, what a great question. So looking back at my very first one, I think I would have wanted to prepare my students a little bit more for what I talked about before, that this is not a competition. And I think they went into it feeling a little deflated at first. And we had some very different choirs there for that event. And also, I hadn't prepared them, I think, for the rigor of a Simon Carrington, who is, and we sang with him 3 times, so we loved him, but it was a big learning curve for them, and they took some of his comments in a negative way for themselves. So I think again, it was my first experience on an international tour. And that's one of the things I think I would have just talked to them about, what to expect, about again, what Jake said so beautifully about different people bring different things, and it's not in numbers or in who's the coloratura. It's an ensemble, and we figured this out along the way during that trip. So that's one of the things, and so we had some real heart-to-heart discussions during the trip. So they grew exponentially as people as well as musicians. The other thing I had not been prepared for, and I will share this little tidbit about, this was our first trip. It was during the H1N1 pandemic that was just starting, and we all got it. In fact, we brought it to Ireland, I'm quite sure. And from that point on, I insisted on having a number of chaperones come with us, which I think, depending on how many people you bring. The one thing I will say is KI is amazing in that regard, that there are always people with you who know a lot about the area and about different things. But that was a learning curve too, in terms of how much I could handle by myself.
Well, that great answer is a very good segue into our next question here. And this one is for Jake, sort of speaking about rigor, but also threading it with the accessibility that you were previously talking about. This question is, your music is so exciting. What kind of early practice techniques can I institute with my choir to get the richest experience out of your festival?
So I am so obsessed with the texts that I set. And I really believe that what makes choir music so unique is that we sing words most of the time. Sometimes we have syllables or, gibberish or vocalese. But for me, the text is so important. And if you know my music, you'll know that you'll find triplets and duple rhythms and all these varieties of rhythms. It's not to make life difficult for you, but it's because that's the natural way that we speak those words in English. And so to be able to dig into those rhythms and to feel them, not thinking about them as rhythms, but thinking about them as how you would speak the words, to make things very musical that way, I think is super important. To that effect, I'm also a big fan of shadow vowels. And so as clear as we can be, I want the text to be understood because we're expressing, we're conveying. So making the consonants as clear as possible is super important. And for every festival that I do, I give all of the singers notes on my score, so they know exactly what I'll be asking for. And I'm already pretty detailed with my scores as it is. I never put those stupid apostrophes for a breath because they're so inaccurate. So you're always going to know where to breathe because of their rest and things like that. So ensembles are always well prepared with what I'll be expecting and in that. So yeah, I think that's a really important aspect, so that when people arrive, they feel like they've been given enough information and they've been able to prepare in a way so we can just hit the ground making music and interpreting.
Can I pick up something, because it's a thread, and I love that Terese raised it. I think KI learnt something from that first experience with Simon as well. And this is 100 years ago, folks, honestly. And we learned 2 things. We learned how to help the right choirs pick the right festival, and how to help our festival leaders say, this doesn't have to be like that. These people want to connect with you, relax, take a deep breath. And I was just going back to our list of five festivals, and I think anyone who looks at those five will know that we have people who want to take you on a journey, who want every single person on that stage and the accompanying accompanying folk and their parents in the audience listening to rehearsals to come on this amazing journey and learn what Jake was saying about his text and his nuance and what he wants. So I just wanted to pick that up because I think it's a really good point. I think we've learned how to manage both sides of that too. Thanks. Sorry, Robin.
No problem. We have a great question from Preston in the chat that is I think all three of you will have a unique take on this answer, but what can a typical day look like on these tours? What sort of stamina is required to get through a day for a festival of this kind of magnitude?
Let me do the official answer and see if Terese wants to pick me up on anything. We program our festival time slots pretty well, in that we say quite often the first rehearsal is going to be on the afternoon after some touring. So the touring is in the cooler part of the day, and then we're coming after lunch into an air-conditioned space or a cooler space. We're doing a 3-hour block, let's say with Jake, and then we have a welcome reception dinner, sort of hopefully within a minute's walk or a couple of minutes from that venue. The next day, we will do a morning rehearsal and an opportunity for individual choirs to have those individual concerts if they want, or a workshop or attend a concert. You're in Vienna, we'll take you to a wonderful concert in Vienna. And then the third day, where the pressure's built up a little bit, the dress rehearsal, we love to do it in the morning when we can, have a couple of hours free time, actually go back to the hotel when this works out, give people a chance to freshen up, have dinner, put on their concert gear, which, by the way, is always very simple, concert blacks. We have no stress there. And then arrive at the venue, costumed, fresh, and ready to go. So I only say that because we think through making sure that we are focused those days. And then, Terese may want to contradict me, but we try and make sure the couple of days beforehand, if there's been a pre-tour or the arrival day, that there's always a clear day before we leap into things. And then the touring part is afterwards. And that's probably when the stamina kind of kicks in a bit more. Terese, you want to contradict any or all of that?
I don't know to contradict, maybe revise it just a bit. One of the things I think that KI does brilliantly is they don't let you sleep the first day.
Okay, that doesn't help. Oh, I see what you mean.
No, it does. Yes. It does. I mean, we take a red eye in, and they start the tour right away. I mean, you're touring the city, checking into the hotel, having dinner. So by the time you get to 8 o'clock that night, they're ready for bed, and they're ready to sleep, which really helps amazingly with the jet lag issue that would be there. The days are full, and wonderfully so. I'm going to go back to my previous answer a little bit because I think it builds in this about what would I do differently if I were to bring them. I think I would, first of all, prepare them for travel a bit more, so they understood what jet lag is, and taking care of yourself before you go and all of that, and also really basic things like how to pack, which we've learned since that time. And the other thing is about what they're going to experience, not only musically, but education-wise and culturally. And so the tours are full of looking at historical monuments and the culture and the food centers. Jake talked about that in the beginning, experiencing the food and the culture, and going to UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I mean, so there's so much built in that it would take a semester to do this in a classroom, to do this. And I think that's one of the wonderful things too. So the days are full. I find with my group, they want it to be fuller, as full as possible. We have just the right balance with you. But they want to do. We also occasionally, KI has been really great. If the conductor is interpreting something a little differently than we do, or we need to work on something, we find a place to practice that night. And that's, I think, how we all got H1N1 that first trip, because we were huddled all in a little room around one bed. the person who got sick the next day. So, but those are all wonderful experiences and things that the kids talk about. Not only the kids, all of the singers talk about well after the trip.
I know I'm at time here, but we have a very excellent question from Abby in the chat. So if we could do a sort of quick fire response before we wrap up here. She has a twofold question. The first being, how far out are our festival tours planned? Like, we have a lot of folks expressing wanting to join a trip, but are curious about how maybe soon they should start saving versus when we know the destination and price. So maybe we can do a little rapid fire on the first question, and then I'll surface the second question.
I guess it's me probably. Boy, we have our 27 festivals out now because we want people to have time to prepare. In Jake's case, we have repertoire, which is very, very helpful. Some of our festival leaders take quite a while to tell us the repertoire, but that's so helpful. So I think the longer you give your ensemble, the better for everybody, knowing that some new people come in fall and knowing that one or two people might kind of have change of plans on the way, but they can substitute at no loss of revenue for them, no loss of participation fee. So 18 months or 20 months, 18 months. But then again, we have ensembles. Well, Terese often has to get her funding and it takes a little bit of time. So she'll tell us 14 months out just before the summer break, maybe the year before. So anybody else? Well, Robin, did you have a view? Or I mean, from Jake's point of view, it's great to know, as long as you have as much time to know who's coming, what their interests are, what their strengths, where they're at musically. I think that helps him sort of frame up a little bit of what he's going to achieve as well. What was the second part, Robin?
Yeah, the second part is we're loving the conversation around how to interpret the music ahead of joining a larger group at the festival. So would it be possible to have a brief meeting with a festival leader to get interpretation notes ahead of the festival?
Yeah, I've typically done that for every festival that I've done. So, I send out a marked score, but also I've had a meeting with all the participant conductors to kind of give people, okay, here are the things that I really strive for. Here are the things I really want you to pay attention to. Or here are certain moments where we really need to stretch that retardando because I'm going to be taking so much time there, things like that. So absolutely, we'll give you all that information.
And we have a great relationship, you can see, with Jake. So if there are specific questions, or you want him to zoom into a rehearsal for 10 minutes, if there's something you want him to explain, we're able to work with each choir in the way they need to have a framework from the festival leader.
Well, that kind of concludes our Q&A. Thank you for the vibrant questions, but I can kick it back to Oliver for the very brief wind down of our great conversation this evening.
Great. So you are so welcome to contact the good-looking, sensible, and very pleasant Sasha, or you can still talk to me. Just a huge thank you to our guests. They're both busy. They've both got full lives. They didn't need to do this, so we're incredibly grateful. Jake, we love working with you and can't wait for that one. Sydney Opera House feels a long, long time ago, and this time we're doing it just you and us. It's going to be fabulous. And Terese, KI adores you. And if anybody wants to talk to Terese one-on-one too, any choir director, I know she'd be so happy to do that and so helpful to you. So thanks everybody for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be sending out this recording, and of course, reach out to KI should you have any questions. But thank you for spending this time on Halloween Eve with all of us, and happy Halloween and happy travels to everyone.
Cheers. Thanks and good night.
Bye-bye.